Hi and welcome to the Atheist Dominion. My name's Rob, and in this video I want to have a look at a new phenomenon starting up on YouTube. It's called mud floods, and I'm here on Adelaide Street in Brisbane, very warm, beautiful day, outside the St Andrew's Uniting Church. So we're going to take a look at this building and see what we can find. You see, there are some people who think that some sort of global catastrophe, some sort of what they call a mud flood. Where this mud came from, they don't know. What caused it, they don't know. What parts of the world it spread to, they don't know. It's an amazing theory because it doesn't actually have any evidence or proof to back it up. But I thought I'd indulge them and take a look at this building here. So here we are at street level, and if we walk towards the balustrade here and take a look over, you'll see that below, let's get that sorted, below street level there is another level with windows. Now of course these mud flood theorists think that down there is the original ground surface, and that over here all this higher ground is actually the result of mud pouring into the city from God knows where. And here is another view of this lower level other floor. The church, often regarded as one of the Southern Hemisphere's finest examples of the neo-Romanesque Gothic style, was completed in 1905 as the St Andrew's Presbyterian Church. Now, if the mud flood theory is correct, then the mud flood itself had to have happened after 1905. This means that at some point after 1905, there was a massive, destructive mud flood that partially buried the church, but no other buildings in the area, causing workmen to have to dig out the lower levels of the church. So the question is, why was this mud flood event hushed up? And even more so, how was it hushed up? Think about it. Photography was common then, as were newspapers as well, and everybody was writing. There were schools nearby, scientists, there were travellers who were local, from interstate and from overseas. Brisbane in 1905 was already a hub of trade and business, with ships from all over the world arriving here, taking goods and produce from the interior of the state. It would be utterly impossible to erase such an event from the history books, from personal journals, from newspapers, and from oral history. This photo from 1915 clearly shows the natural ground surface, only 10 years after the church was completed. Compare this with a view from the same place today. Yes, the ground surface is still exactly the height. This photo from 1950 also shows the ground surface as it is today. This means that the mythical mud flood had to have occurred at some point between 1905 and 1915. I dare anyone to find proof of a mud flood in Brisbane happening between 1905 and 1915. And now just leaving Adelaide Street and walking down into this little lower level alleyway area. I've never been down here before. So this building here, I think this is the Rothbury Hotel. Obviously there's windows and garage doors and so on at much lower than ground level. This has absolutely nothing to do with mud floods. This is just a natural surface of the ground before European settlement here. And these buildings were built to take into account the slope of the ground. It's nothing to do whatsoever with a mythical, idiotic, imbecilic mud flood. So since there's no record whatsoever of this mud flood occurring, that has to mean that there's been a conspiracy right across the city, and indeed right across the world, to erase every document, every diary entry, every newspaper report, everything. The whole slate wiped clean with no evidence left whatsoever. We aren't dealing with anything that's even remotely believable. This is the most preposterous, pointless conspiracy theory of all time. This even beats flat Earth. And just 2 doors up from the church that we were looking at, if we pan left, we find a Masonic temple. That, of course, has absolutely no significance whatsoever and is just a Masonic temple. So here we're on the corner of the Masonic temple, and panning left, you will obviously see that the natural ground surface slopes away to a much lower level. Nothing to do with a mud flood. So yeah, there we go, mud flood in Brisbane. Didn't happen, impossible to have happened, no record of it whatsoever. Just people with too much time and too much of an imagination making up weird theories and concepts that have no basis in reality. I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go get some lunch. Thanks for watching.